It was a lovely day on South Island. The sun was shining, the flickies were chirping, a cool summer's breeze flew throughout Green Hill Zone, but Sonic couldn't shake the feeling that something was off. As he raced towards Lost Valley, a section of Green Hill destroyed during the Deadly Six's plan to drain the planet, Sonic found a number of badniks setting up shop among the sand dunes. Not wasting any time, Sonic quickly dismantled the machines with a series of homing attacks, but that's when he heard a thud in the distance. To Sonic's shock, a giant sandworm emerged from the ground nearby, riled up by the explosions. This was one of the very same sandworms he had faced on the Lost Hex. Sonic began to question what this thing was doing on Earth. How was it on Earth? But before he could get any answers, the beast suddenly lunged at the blue hedgehog. Sonic dodged out of the way, leaping onto one of the many platforms above. And as the worm turned towards its prey once more, Sonic leaped off of the platform, homing attacking the beast on its white collar. This was a deadly strike, forcing the worm to retreat. The recoil bounced Sonic onto one of the many loops in Lost Valley. Sonic smirked triumphantly, but his look soon turned grim. As he looked out into the distance, he could see Sunset City engulfed in flames as a series of massive Death Egg robots marched throughout the city. It was obvious who was behind this. Sonic clenched his fist before racing off to save the day and put a stop to Eggman's latest plan. The residents of Sunset Heights were trying to defend themselves, but Eggman's forces were vast and had them severely outgunned. A red wolf, codenamed Gadget, was doing his best to hold the line, while his squad was trying to get as many civilians out as possible. However, the rookie was clearly losing, and he knew it. Before long, one of the many egg pawns got in a lucky hit, knocking Gadget to the ground. He closed his eyes, accepting his fate, when suddenly Sonic the Hedgehog came running in, wrecking all the machines. Sonic gave the rookie a confident smile. "Hey kid, think you dropped this." Sonic quickly handed the rookie his weapon before running off once more. Gadget was left speechless, which wasn't unusual, but he had just met the Sonic the Hedgehog. Filled with a sense of vindication, the wolf plucked up courage and ran off to join his squad to continue the good fight. Out of the eyesight of the wolf, Sonic was racing around, smashing badniks to bits, with his confident smile replaced with that of a grim scowl. You see, Sonic hasn't been feeling himself the last few weeks, not since his adventure on the Lost Hex. Tails was gone, Eggman was still wreaking havoc, and Sonic couldn't help but blame himself. So, letting out his pent-up aggression on these badniks was strangely therapeutic for him. Sonic wasn't quite sure what he would do when he met the real Eggman, but he wouldn't have to wonder for long. As Sonic rounded a bend, he saw another battalion of egg pawns, being led by Dr. Eggman himself. Sonic, of course, wasted no time reducing these machines to nothing but scrap metal before looking at the fat overlord. "Eggman! Sonic, glad you could make it to your funeral. I'm giving you one chance, Doc. Call off the invasion before I finish you." "It will be your finish, Sonic. Behold the power of my ultimate masterpiece." Sonic viciously charged forward at his opponent, but before he could strike Eggman, he was suddenly knocked out of the air by a familiar black and red blur. Sonic looked up at the shadowy figure with a look of confusion, acceptance, and rage. "Shadow? So you have joined Eggman." The figure didn't respond. Landing next to him was none other than Metal Sonic, Chaos, and Zavok, the latter of whom Sonic still had a particular grudge against. Sonic prepared to defend himself, but that's when he glanced up. A dark figure was descending from on high, with two tails blowing in the wind. Sonic was taken aback. No, it can't be. Sadly, it was. Hovering mere feet above the blue hedgehog was none other than his roboticized and weaponized little buddy. Tails? What have they done to you? I am Infinite, servant of the Eggman Empire, and you are my enemy. It took a moment for the blue hedgehog to snap out of the shock, but when he did, he turned to Dr. Eggman. What have you done? Simple. I just guaranteed my victory, and you dropped your guard. Infinite fired forth a deadly laser from his arm cannon, with Sonic only barely dodging a fatal blow. Sonic's tail and quills were singed simply by being nearby the laser. Come on, Tails, snap out of it. I don't want to have to fight you. Resistance would be futile either way. Infinite flew at Sonic at instantaneous speeds, striking the blue hedgehog. Sonic was taken aback. His little buddy had always been fast, but whatever Eggman had done to Tails made him faster than Sonic. The fox grabbed Sonic by the neck, strangling him. Please, Tails! The fox stared emotionlessly as his visor raised. The face of Miles Prower revealed itself to Sonic, with a few mutations. Surrounding his eyes was deep, dark war paint, and the irises themselves had taken on the same magenta hue as the mysterious gem on his chest. I already told you, I am Infinite, and you are nothing to me. Infinite then threw Sonic against the wall, and as the blue hedgehog collapsed onto the ground, he began to give in to his wounds, falling into unconsciousness, where the last thing he saw was the sudden appearance of a death egg looming over Sunset Heights. And little did the blue hero know, South Island wasn't the only place under attack. Around the globe, hundreds of death eggs appeared out of nowhere, each with their own army of badniks backing them up. Whatever heroes were in the area tried their best, but were easily defeated by this monstrous machine, forcing them to retreat. The firepower Eggman possessed eclipsed any global security force, including the Guardians Unit of Nations. Gun didn't stand a chance. On that day, Eggman won. Sonic was defeated, the heroes were outgunned, and the world was now his to control. And little did the heroes know, Eggman had Tails and his Phantom Ruby to thank for the victory. Hours later, Sonic reawoke in a cell with his arms and legs shackled by energy cuffs. Though they greatly restricted his movement, it did not restrict his line of sight. He could directly see out of his jail cell and see the figure standing in front of him. You know, even under these circumstances, it's good to see it, Tails. I told you once before, my designation is Infinite, and you are an enemy of the Eggman Empire, and as such will be punished thoroughly. Sonic gave a bittersweet smile. I can take whatever pain you're cooking up, as long as I get to spend a bit more time with my little buddy. Your confidence in the face of trauma is admirable. Let's see how long that lasts. Infinite activated the Phantom Ruby before placing his hand on Sonic's forehead. The hedgehog screamed out in agony, witnessing several nightmarish images. As Infinite continued the illusionary torture procedures, he had to wonder, what exactly was Sonic seeing? Sonic's eyes reopened in a black, tar-like void. The blue hedgehog tried to get his bearings as he looked around, but there was nothing in sight. That was until a figure emerged from the shadows. Tails, as Sonic had known him before everything went wrong. You could have saved me, Sonic. You could have saved me. Sonic had no idea how this was even possible, but as he saw the young fox, he began apologizing profusely. I'm so sorry, Tails. The Deadly Six's trap, it was for me. You shouldn't have been the one to pay. Tails' eyes shifted to the color of infinites in the present. What kind of a hero lets his friends suffer in his place? You failed, Sonic. You failed me. And I'll make you regret that. As Sonic's torture continued, Eggman was back on Earth, exploring one of the many destroyed GUN bases. His radio frequencies lead to this very room. He must be around here somewhere. Eggman looked around the laboratory before spotting his prize. There, dangling from a hoist, was Omega's head. For those who don't remember, Omega was destroyed during our adaptation of episode Shadow and was needing repairs. But since the fall of GUN, Omega has been abandoned. Well, if it isn't my rebellious little E-series. How are you feeling? Much better now for seeing you. I can finally enact my revenge. Right, whatever. Omega, your services are once more required. Welcome back to the Eggman Empire. We open in the ruins of Sunset Heights, a city left in decay after an attack by the Eggman Empire. Life is tough for those who used to live in this city. They either have to scrounge up whatever scraps they can to survive, or surrender themselves to the Eggman Empire. However, in the center of the city, in one of the few buildings left partially standing, is where those who are willing to fight call home. This is Resistance HQ. Within the depths of the base, many brave freedom fighters work together to save the world from Dr. Eggman, led by none other than Amy Rose. Amy picked up a comm unit. Team Chaotix, I need an update on the Cryptic Castle assault. No response. Team Chaotix, please respond. Still no response. Amy was about to send out a search party when suddenly the doors to the control room swung open. Relax, we're back. Our comm systems were taken out, though, along with half our squad. Half? But on top of you three, there were 17 other soldiers. Who could have... Amy paused. She already knew the answer. Tails. Vector nodded. He ripped through us like we were made of paper mache. In more ways than one. We were lucky to get out of there alive. Some of us more scathed than others. Vector paused. The people are losing hope. They're giving into despair. And I don't blame them. Just then, two more figures entered the room. Blaze and Silver. Fear isn't a luxury we have. Blaze is right. If we want to stop Eggman, we're just gonna have to keep fighting back with everything we got. Yeah? And what do we have? For every badnik we destroy, 1,000 more are built. And while our soldiers recover, Eggman's heavy hitters are still out there. So unless you can get your gems working again, Princess, we don't have anything. Vector, of course, was referring to the Soul Emeralds. These 7 fiery gems were like the Chaos Emeralds of Blaze's dimension, and had brought her here shortly before Eggman conquered the world. However, since Eggman's rule began, the emerald's color had faded, and their energy seemed off. Vector, I am trying my hardest to understand what happened to the Soul Emeralds and find a way to reverse it, but to try using them in this state could be disastrous. Well, excuse me, Princess, but how much worse could it possibly get? Amy quickly stepped in. Knock it off, you two. How are you supposed to fight Eggman if you're too busy fighting each other? Both heroes stopped arguing, but simply glared. Vector was quiet, before finally closing with, "Maybe if you were there, maybe Charmy wouldn't be in emergency care right now." And on that bombshell, the crocodile left the room. Blaze stood there in shame. Amy tried to comfort her pyrokinetic friend. "Blaze? Every day I fail to restore the soul emeralds is another day innocents get hurt. But that's not your fault, and Vector knows that too. Once you get the soul emeralds back up, you'll do everything in your power to stop Eggman, like the rest of us." "But I don't know what's suppressing them, Amy. And even if I did, I fear that I alone don't have the power to restore the soul emeralds." "Well, you won't be alone. I'll stay by your side until we can restore the emeralds and put an end to Eggman's empire." Blaze smiled a bit. "Very well then. Commander, what's our first mission for the day?" Amy turned on her computer and displayed a file, showing a red wolf. "This is our new recruit. He goes by Gadget. He doesn't talk much. He'll be helping you break into the chemical plant. We need to get in there and get whatever information we can. I'll stay in touch." With that, the cat and the hedgehog saluted their commander before leaving to meet up with the rookie. As the door slammed behind the duo, Amy finally let out a sigh of defeat. Clearly, running the resistance for 6 months is beginning to take its toll on her. "I can barely keep this resistance together. What I wouldn't give to go back to the days when it was just me and Sonic, racing from one adventure to the next. But those days are behind me. Sonic's gone." Amy felt as if she was about to cry, when suddenly she heard the door swing open once more. Cream the rabbit walked in with a platter of tea and cookies. "Good morning, Miss Amy. We know you've been working really hard recently, so me and my mom made you some treats." Amy tried her best to compose herself, but was clearly failing. "Thank you, Cream. I appreciate it." Cream could just tell Amy wasn't feeling good. "You know, Miss Amy, my mom says it's okay to feel scared. It's okay to feel sad, too. But it's the strength to keep going that's important. And I'm sure that Mr. Sonic would want us to keep going and stand up to Eggman and all of his meanies." Amy wiped away whatever tears were left in her eyes before embracing the little rabbit she saw as a sister. "You're right, Cream. We'll keep going. For Sonic." Cream chuckled in agreement as the pair got back to work. A cool winter's breeze flows throughout West Side Island as Silver and Blaze plan out their assault on the chemical plant. "You know, Blaze, I don't think Eggman's just gonna let us stroll in there." You're right. We better come up with some kind of diversion." The two begin brainstorming ideas when they suddenly hear something flying overhead. An enemy transport vessel in Eggman's likeness flies towards the chemical plant. "Eggman holds prisoners here? I wouldn't be surprised if he runs deadly experiments on them." Suddenly, Silver got an idea. "Well, we can't just leave them for dead, and we do need a distraction." "I was thinking the same thing, Silver. Let's save 2 birds with 1 stone." The partners began their assault on the chemical plant. Psychic knives and flaming bolts erupted in all directions, destroying several egg ponds as they made their way to the prisoner holding cells. But to the surprise of the duo, there seemed to be already a breakout in progress. Several former gun agents in orange latex were attacking egg ponds in a desperate attempt to take back the chemical plant. Though the machines had the upper hand in terms of raw strength, they were quickly dispatched as Silver and Blaze entered the room. One of the inmates, former Commander Tower, approached the heroes. "So, you must be part of this resistance I've heard of." "Indeed we are, sir." Eggman doesn't seem to think much of you. Prove him wrong." The commander paused impressively. "Look, don't worry about us. 1 trip to the weapons vault and we should be able to take care of ourselves. If you want to worry about anyone, you better check in with that red wolf heading towards the computer room. He was smart enough to start this breakout, but, well, I've known a lot of great combatants in my time, and he's not one of them. Don't worry, sir. Doesn't matter what they throw in our way. We'll blow past everything they throw at us. Together, Silver and Blaze combined their unique abilities to create a psychically charged, flaming double boost. They plow through hundreds of badniks as they make their way towards the next major structure. The pair eventually find Gadget being cornered by several badniks. The seasoned heroes destroy the enemies before helping their ally back to his feet. The rookie smiled, wordlessly thanking the pair for their assistance. Greetings, I am Blaze, and this is Silver. We were informed you're searching for the computer room? Gadget nodded excitedly, confirming her suspicions. All right then, let's see what Eggman's been hiding. The trio walked towards the main computer. This could be difficult. Computers aren't my specialty. Yeah, me neither. The pair looked over to Gadget. He whipped out a small flash drive-like device, plugging it into computer and immediately gaining access. Impressive technology. Yeah, not bad. The rookie was flattered by the compliment. He never dreamed he'd be working alongside such high-tier heroes. The trio began downloading all the files they could. Okay, this is what we needed. Let's take this back to Resistance HQ so we can decode it from there. Suddenly, they got a notification on the computer. Live security footage from one of the many death eggs showed Sonic, alive, being held captive. The group was speechless. This changes everything. This could change the tide of the war. We need to get back to Resistance HQ. Everyone needs to hear this. And with that, the trio set off back to base. A figure flew in at Mach speed towards Eggman's Imperial Fortress. It was none other than Infinite, the brainwashed and partially roboticized fox once known as Miles Prower. Lord Eggman, I completed the assessment of the chemical plant breakout. Well, don't leave me in suspense. What happened? Rebel freedom fighters Blaze and Silver invaded the chemical plant. But curiously, the breakout began before they reached the holding cells. Well then, who instigated the breakout, Infinite? Are you trying to tell me a ghost did it?
Well, boss, you have run into ghosts in the past.
Shut up, Q-Bot. I can assure you, sir, no specters were involved. Though most of our cameras were disabled during the breakout, a red wolf was apprehended by several egg pawns before Silver and Blaze assaulted them. So you're telling me that my highly advanced security system was overwhelmed by some nobody working for the Resistance? Eggman paused impressively. I suppose it doesn't matter either way. In just a few days, my master plan will be complete. Soon, I'll be rid of those stinking rebels, and this world will be mine to rule. Eggman turned towards Infinite. And as the ashes of those foolish heroes blow off into the wind, I'll have one man to thank for it all. The young fox, for the first time he could remember, smiled. Well, thank you, my lord. It has been an honor to— If it wasn't for my genius intellect, this empire would have never begun, and the world wouldn't be set onto a better path under my heel. Ho ho ho! Now, Infinite, commence your daily routine. Inspect all the designated bases. You're already behind schedule. Right, Lord Eggman. And with no further comments, Infinite flew off to begin his patrol. Elsewhere, Silver and Blaze returned to Resistance HQ with the rookie and reported to everyone their findings. Sonic was alive. A sudden wave of relief rushed throughout the members of the Resistance, and even a particular pink hedgehog broke out into tears of joy at this news. With this new information, the Resistance unanimously agreed that they had to focus on saving Sonic as with his help, they might stand a chance at beating Eggman and his new army. The group began discussing the game plan. There are several Death Eggs around the globe. Sonic must be in one of them, but which one? Amy responded confidently. Well, Eggman wouldn't lock Sonic in just any Death Egg. He most likely has him captured in one of the most strongly defended ones. There are 3 Death Eggs that are constantly being surveyed by the Egg Fleet. He's most likely in one of those. I think our best course of action would be to divide and conquer. We'll divide up into groups of 2. Once you get onto the Death Egg, free as many prisoners as you can. Hopefully Sonic should be among them.
And then we can burn the thing to the ground, right?
Yes, right. Amy paused to recompose herself. Silver, Blaze, your team 1. Your job is to destroy the Death Egg hovering over Soliana's oceans.
Understood, Commander.
We won't let you down, Amy. Vector, Espio, your team 2. You'll be destroying the Death Egg nearby Station Square.
Understood, Commander. You can count on us.
What about me? A voice came from the other side of the room. It was Charmy B. He was still badly injured from his previous encounter with Infinite. Amy scrambled to make up something quick. She didn't want Charmy going on a mission while he was still injured. Charmy, hey, you and Cream are Team 3. We need you to secure the base while we're gone. Charmy was overjoyed with this responsibility, while Cream gave a knowing smile. And finally, Gadget, you and me will be taking on the Death Egg hovering over Green Hill.
Wait, hold up. If you're not here, then how in God's name are we supposed to keep in contact?
I'll take care of that. A figure entered the room. It was none other than former Gun Commander Tower. Sorry I'm a bit late to the meeting, but I had to make a few calls. Gun may be no more, but our soldiers are more than willing to stand with the resistance, Commander Rose. Thank you, sir. We're gonna need all the help we can get on this mission. No thanks needed. Now come on. Our little blue hero isn't just gonna arrive out of nowhere. Right. Resistance? Charge! And with that, the team split up to take on their individual Death Eggs. Outside, as the heroes raced off in different directions, they hardly noticed a water monster lurking in the distance. It was none other than Chaos. The villain prepared to hunt down these heroes, but before Chaos could begin his chase, he heard a peculiar noise. Suddenly, a purple portal opened up, and emerging from it was a pint-sized, spiky blue hero. It was none other than Classic Sonic. The timeline-jumping hero was clearly confused by his new surroundings, but suddenly, as Chaos swiped at him, it became clear what he had to do. The two began to battle, and although Chaos Zero fought vigorously, in the end, it was Classic Sonic who won the scuffle. The big drip retreated into a puddle, disappearing into one of the many sewer lines. Now, with a moment to breathe, Classic Sonic began to think. The last thing he could remember was fighting Dr. Robotnik and the Phantom King in some purple void. After defeating them, their weird rock suddenly launched him through a portal, and he woke up here. Classic Sonic concluded that he must have simply been warped a couple miles away. He needed to get back to Never Lake to make sure that Knuckles and Tails were okay. So with that, the hedgehog raced off into the sunset. But as he arrived at Never Lake, the young Echidna and Fox were nowhere to be seen. The pint-sized Sonic raced around, trying to find his friends. That's when he noticed in the distance a strange object. It almost looked like Angel Island, grounded once more. But something was off about it. Instead of a vast, glorious jungle, there was a mechanical, maniacal theme park spread across the landmass. And at the peak of this evil theme park was a peculiar pink light. Classic Sonic wasn't sure what was going on, but he had a hunch Robotnik must be behind this somehow. So Sonic raced towards the island, hoping to get some answers. Elsewhere, another pair of detectives are making their way towards the Death Egg in Station Square. All right, Victor,
What's our plan to get up onto the Death Egg? Well, that thing's only a couple 100 feet in the air. I'm sure I can throw you up there, and you can do your little ninja trick to get on. Okay, then how are you getting on? I don't know. I haven't worked out all the details.
My, the commander was right. You two really do need my help. The pair of detectives were taken off guard as Rouge the Bat appeared out of nowhere.
Rouge, what are you doing here?
Commander Tower called in all the reserve members of Gun he could. I was on the top of his list, of course.
Yeah, well, we could have used your help earlier during the war. We lost a lot of good soldiers, you know.
That's because we're heavily outgunned, Vector. I've been trying to fix that problem. The pair were once again confused. What do you mean, ma'am? Omega was destroyed before the war began. He was sent to a different GUN facility for a complete overhaul. But by the time I came back to check on him, he was gone. I can only assume Eggman must have taken him. I've been going from Eggman base to Eggman base, trying to find any information I can on him. But nothing so far. I'm hoping I can learn something from one of these Death Eggs, and maybe we can save Sonic while we're at it. Vector now felt bad about how he reacted. He didn't realize Rouge had lost a partner as well.
Hey, I'm sorry for snapping at you.
I understand. Stressful times. I've been a spy for a long time, Vector. Let's just get up there and find what we can. And with that, Rouge picked up the pair of Chaotix before flying them up towards the Death Egg. Back on the grounds of what was once Angel Island, Classic Sonic made his way through Eggman's ridiculously monstrous amusement park, Eggman Land. To the young hero's horror, hundreds of people were being held hostage by Dr. Eggman and being forced to slave away, loading up roller coasters with ammunition, missiles, and other weapons of war for Eggman's army. This wasn't just an amusement park. It was a military base. At the heart of the park was a hellish merry-go-round with a pink aura emanating from the top of it. On a jumbotron attached to the ride appeared Dr. Eggman himself. Classic Sonic noted that this resembled the older Eggman he met during his incident with the Time Eater. It became clear to the pint-sized Sonic that he must have been sent through time, space, and possibly even dimensions. But before Classic Sonic could question the nature of his travel, the Mad Doctor's booming voice rung out throughout the park.
Greetings, unvalued employees of Eggman Land. As you know, we are nearing the final stage of my conquest of Earth. You will all not be remembered in the slightest, but your efforts will ensure our total victory. As a reward, the public execution of Knuckles the Echidna will commence tonight. That Echidna really thought he could take back his island. Single-handedly, in fact. Well, see you there.
The Jumbotron swapped to live coverage of Knuckles shackled at the top of the carousel, awaiting his fate. Classic Sonic knew he had to save his future friend and raced up there to help. Though the pint-sized hero had to fight through several badniks to get there, before long he made it to the top. To his surprise, there was something resembling the Master Emerald, but purple, in a strange version of the Master Emerald altar. Of course, Classic Sonic didn't have time for this. He had to free Knuckles. He raced over to the Echidna to help. Classic Sonic ran over, trying to spin dash through Knuckles' restraints. The Echidna was surprised to see him.
Wait, that's Sonic from White Space, right? You gotta get out of here before it's too late.
But it was already too late. Eggman's voice rung out across the loudspeakers.
Well, this is an unexpected development. You must be that pint-sized Sonic from the other time period. How delightful. Oh, Executioner, Let's put on a show for the audience.
A booming noise came from the bottom of the carousel. Something big was climbing up the structure. A gargantuan mecha, armed to the teeth with weaponry, approached the intruder. Foolish meatbag, you stand in the path of the Eggman Empire. Feel the wrath of E123 Omega. In response to this devastating threat, Classic Sonic began to chuckle. The young Sonic thought to himself that he's beaten everything Robotnik's ever thrown at him. Apart from a few robo-hogs and a couple hard-boiled jerks, nothing has ever given him that big of an issue. So certainly, this android with an ego bigger than its entire metal frame won't be any issue for the most famous hedgehog in the
Opportunity for surrender has ceased. Commencing execution.
Omega aggressively launched a series of bullets and homing missiles at the blue hedgehog. Taken by surprise, Classic Sonic had to move quickly, and although he dodged most of the missiles and bullets, the shockwave still sent him flying. Omega looked down at his opponent with an almost bored expression.
Analysis. Disappointing. I was hoping for more of a fight.
But to Omega's shock, Classic Sonic slowly returned to his feet, ready for round 2. Though he was clearly pained, Classic Sonic's grim look turned to a smirk, practically daring Omega to try again.
New development. Young, pathetic meatbag isn't nearly as breakable as I expected. Perhaps I judged too quickly.
The massive Goliath of a machine rose up again, ready to crush the small hedgehog.
Commencing Assault 2. Young meatbag. Try not to perish within the first 30 seconds.
The battle commenced once more. Classic Sonic was more alert, as he recognized Omega as a bigger threat. As the Scarlet Killer continued firing rockets and bullets at the hedgehog, he began to curve, weave, dodge, and even redirect some of the gunfire back at Omega. But it did nothing. Classic Sonic, for likely the first time, was beginning to wonder if he's bit off more than he can chew. Omega, on the other hand, didn't feel threatened by this pint-sized Sonic in any way, shape, or form. However, he did admit that his persistence was amusing, but the novelty quickly wore off.
Conflict analysis. This battle has become tedious. You are beneath me. I am E123 Omega, designed by Lord Eggman to battle the likes of the ultimate life form. You are nothing. Commencing finale protocol.
The Giga Omega fired every rocket and bullet it had, hoping to destroy the entire area, killing Classic Sonic and allowing Omega to find someone more worthy of his time to battle. As the rockets flew around, a couple of them hit the ground's nearby Knuckles. As his restraints began to weaken as the structure cracked, Knuckles broke free, finally being able to join the fight with Classic Sonic. As both Classic Sonic and Knuckles prepared to fight Omega together, another voice rung out across the battlefield.
Omega, you bucket of bolts! You failed me! Return to base!
Eggman demanded Omega retreat now. Though he still had a great chance of being able to defeat both Knuckles and Classic Sonic, in his current state, with his experimental Giga armor, his depleted weapons, not to mention he's currently running on fumes after fighting for a decent amount of time, to say the walking arsenal isn't in his best condition would be an understatement. Though he may still be able to win, it would be a gamble, and it's one Eggman isn't willing to take. But Omega isn't satisfied with that.
No. What was that, Omega? I said no. I am E123 Omega. I do not waver. I do not fail. I do not surrender for anyone.
Eggman could sense some rebellion in the machine. Even in his brainwashed state, he is no follower.
You listen here, Omega. This is not for debate. Leave now or be terminated. Negatory, I will destroy these feeble mammals in the name of the Eggman Empire. No, in my own name. I am E123 Omega, the world's...
But before Omega could finish, he was violently cut off as Knuckles hurled a roller coaster full of weapons and explosives right towards the Giga Omega. They erupted on contact, obliterating the mech suit, sending it collapsing to the ground, with Omega in shambles. The android tried returning to its feet, but fell apart with every attempt. But Omega still proclaimed his superiority.
This is but a minor setback to me. You are still beneath me. I am E123 Omega, the world's most powerful...
Knuckles, even though he didn't know Omega all that well, felt almost disgusted seeing him like this.
For the love of chaos, what happened to you, Omega? You were one of the greats. Now you're just one of Eggman's weak puppets.
Weak. I am E123 Omega. I have never known defeat. I...
And with that, Omega's system finally fell out of service. Disappointed to see what had become of one of his allies, but happy to be free, Knuckles turned towards Classic Sonic.
Thanks for the assist. Hey, you're that Sonic from White Space, aren't you?
The Hedgehog nodded. Well, we probably shouldn't stick around here. Eggman's probably already sent reinforcements. I'll get the Master Emerald, then we can leave this joint. Knuckles seemed almost sorrowful when saying that, but ran over to the Master Emerald altar, ignoring the disgusting look of Eggman surrounding it, and picked up the emerald. And as he did, the island returned to normal. The Master Emerald was still a peculiar shade of purple, but apart from that, everything seemed to be as it was. Knuckles wasn't quite sure what was going on, but he knew he had to get to the bottom of it. And Classic Sonic promised he would help in any way he could. Elsewhere, Espio and Vector, with a little help from Rouge the Bat, sneak aboard the Death Egg looming over Station Square.
Are you sure you know where you're going?
Honey, I've worked with Eggman once or twice before. I think I know how he builds his bases by now. Sure enough, Rouge led them to her destination.
Hang on, what are we doing in the computer room?
Your head must be made of some really thick leather, Vector. I already told you, I'm looking for Omega. Once I get what I need, I'll help you with your mission.
Then let's hurry, Espio chimed in. The more time we waste, the less chance we have of saving Sonic.
Then you've come to the wrong place. Besides, he's not the one you should be worried about right now.
Infinite had arrived. The trio looked up in horror and disdain at their former friend.
Honestly, I should be thanking you three. The doctor gave me orders to track down any rebel fighters I could, and it's so much easier to find you when you sneak onto my base.
Oh, well, it's been a pleasure, darling, but we really must get going. I'll just take these files and...
Hold up. What do you mean your base?
That's none of your concern.
Infinite paused.
But you have been trying to figure it out for 6 months, so I'll spell it out for the great detectives.
The rose-tinted gem on Infinite's chest began to glow.
Don't you think it's a bit strange how Eggman just happened to have hundreds of Death Eggs and hundreds of new robots out of the blue? That was me, detectives. I am the backbone of his army.
And why are you giving away this very sensitive information?
Simply put, Ms. Rouge, Eggman will never appreciate my work, so I'm hoping that within your dying moments, you might.
The gemstone on Infinite's chest flashed once more, and in an instant, Vector, Rouge, and Espio felt weightless. They began soaring towards the ceiling and collided with the cold steel above.
Dr. Eggman may rule the world, and he may be my lord, but within these bases, I am a god.
In an instant, the entire Death Egg flipped over at a rate that should be impossible of something its size. Beyond that, the entire interior of the building changed drastically. The prison halls seemed to go on into eternity. The prison bars lashed out like snakes. Badniks that had once seemed harmless now stood as towering titans. And Infinite was at the center of it all.
I will do my master's bidding and destroy you all. But know in your dying moments it was I that defeated you, not that blubbery buffoon.
Vector cracked his knuckles.
All right, I don't care who you were before Eggman did this to you. This one for Charmy.
Vector tried punching the fox, but he simply dodged it and returned a blow infinitely more deadly.
Feeble detective, if you want to be reunited with Charmy so bad, you just had to ask.
Reality began to warp once more, and to everyone's shock, a version of Charmy appeared.
Charmy? What are you doing here?
Sorry, Mr. Rebel, but I'm a new boss now.
The bee suddenly took off at speeds Charmy should never have been able to reach and attacked Espio, knocking him off a platform. Espio used his rope to swing back up, but Infinite fired a laser beam at him. Espio fell for what felt like hundreds of feet before Rouge caught in midair. Thank you for the save, Miss Rouge.
You can thank me by bringing lighter throwing stars next time.
By all means, let me lighten the load. Espio then hurled his throwing stars at Charmy. The bee began to soar and evade the shurikens like it was an extreme game of dodgeball.
Come on, Mr. Ninja Guy, is that the best you got?
No, but he is. Charmy suddenly took a sucker punch from Vector, sending him into the abyss below.
Sorry about that, kid. I've seen it take worse.
With the black and yellow pest dealt with, Rouge flew over the computer, trying to get any information she could in both Sonic's whereabouts and Omega's, while Espio and Vector kept Infinite distracted. Almost got it. There! Okay, boys, let's go! Seeing this as their only chance to get away, Vector and Espio charged towards Rouge, not noticing Infinite throwing a small device onto Vector's chain. Once together, Espio threw a smoke bomb in front of the trio. As the dust settled, the heroes had vanished. From a safe distance away from the Death Egg, the trio began to talk.
So, what did those files tell you?
Well, Omega's been used as Eggman's killing machine for the last few months, but he seems to be offline now. As for Sonic, he wasn't aboard that Death Egg. He's currently held in the one overlooking Lost Valley. Then let's hope that Amy and the Rookie can handle themselves. Elsewhere, Dr. Eggman was berating Infinite and Omega on their failures.
You two really put the lack in Lackey.
The Eggman's brow furrowed.
You let pint-sized Sonics escape with prisoners, and rebels escape with essential information.
My dearest apologies, Lord Eggman, but you must know that I...
No, you must know, Infinite, that the only reason you're still here is because of that phantom root in your chest. It's the only reason you're useful to me. And as for you, Omega, well, you've served your purpose. Enjoy an all-expense-free trip to the scrapyard.
But, Lord Eggman, I can still be of service to the... Omega's voice chip was immediately turned off.
Did I say you could speak? Now, wait for transport to take you away.
As Eggman continued to berate his creation, Infinite simply stood there, quiet, comparing how he was treated to that of Omega, and thinking of all the ways they could show their master just how useful they could be.